when we come here, we have one...
You have one vision when you walk in the door.
But when we come here, the talent and that we hire you, we all kind of work together, and that's why I love it, because sometimes it becomes something even better than I expected. I've never left here thinking, oh God, what did we just do?
On this edition of the Marketing Minute, we conclude our conversation with Molly Becker, Director of Marketing and Communications at Metro RTA. Today, we look at the creative process and how collaboration can take a great idea and make it even better.
Do you write differently now that we've had as much experience as we've had?
Well, I think back to that first commercial I ever personally wrote and it was when we were doing something with Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad, and it was just two people talking. It was horrible. You produced it. You're a nice person. You never said a word. But now, I think our tone, I become more conversational. And really, for me personally, I love doing more of the songs and the jingle and adding all the background stuff that just makes it a fuller, richer commercial. Whereas before, when I started writing, they were horrible. I don't ever want to hear them. I don't ever want to revisit that time. But they still got the point across, But I have seen the spots evolve because I think, like, when we come here, we're such a good team, and the people that my whole department at Metro, we're all fun and creative, and so we all work together on spots, and it's something that I love to see jump off the paper and then hear it come to life.
It's a fun process.
It's such a fun process. It's my most favorite thing to do.
Yeah, it really
all
is.
year, every time I can't wait to come into the studio and watch that story come to life. And I love how sometimes the talent, a Sherry or a Bill, will add something that I never thought of because of their experience that they bring to the table. And then this commercial we've been in here and completely rewritten commercials on the fly and changed the tone of the commercial or whatever based on everybody's input in the studio. So I love that.
So while we're on the subject of radio, why don't we dive into some of the memorable commercials we've produced? So
I love Traffic Jam.
Okay.
I love that one. I love the texting and driving one, texting and riding.
And why don't we talk a little bit about how that evolved? Because you were in the studio.
We were in the studio.
The day the county passed that regulation.
Yes. And you said this would make a great commercial about texting and riding. And so I was like, that would be great. So we scheduled the time. I went back to my office and I wrote that commercial in like 20 minutes and had so much fun with that commercial. And then you and I were back in the studio the next day. And then by the end of that week, when the law had gone into effect, we already had the spot on the air. And then that one won a national award. Nice. So through our trades association. And I love that one because of the timeliness of it. And that's the other thing I like about radio. If when you work with someone like you, I can get that on pretty quick. And so that's probably also one of my most favorite. And I was actually just out at a festival last week. I was at Pride Festival, and somebody says, "You're Metro." Oh my gosh, that spot where you talk about sharpening knives and blending. And I was like, and that spot hasn't run for years because it was so time sensitive.
Was that the spot we did during the Intern Challenge?
I don't know if that one was or not.
After that?
I think it was after that.
Oh, okay.
But it just cracked me up that commercial hasn't been on the air for years, but that shows you the effectiveness of a good radio spot. He quoted it directly, that one part of the commercial, which we created the sound effects right here.
In the studio, yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. So that's up there. Of course, I always personally like the Nice Rack commercial as well. I just, I can't help it. But I love our jingles. And those are the ones that, I helped write. But, Claire in my department, she's written some great spots. She did the movie ones when we introduced our new website.
Those were so much fun.
I love the takes she did with those.
To hear some of Molly's favorite commercials, visit our podcast page at hearaudioconcepts.com and click on the podcast extras. I hope you've enjoyed our interviews with Molly Becker, Director of Marketing and Communications at Metro RTA. Coming up in our next episode of the Marketing Minute, we'll interview Scott Ross and talk jingles, original music, and how a musical signature can make your brand stand out. That's coming up in our next episode of the Marketing Minute.